Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to build out a CV reviewing tool. Essentially, there's going to be a form where any applicant can enter in their CV. And this is going to put a whole process in place where it's going to review the entire CV based on our criteria and then rank it. So then a recruiter can come through, it can see the CV on our lovely dashboard, it can see the benefits and the negatives of the CV and how close it matches to our criteria with a ranking. This is going to be an AI-powered automation. It's going to include a front end. This is where you're going to be able to view the CV in a lovely dashboard and see all the different applicants right there in the dashboard. And then a backend. This is where the CV processing is going to take place, where we're going to use AI to extract certain aspects of the CV based on our original requirements for the job. This is a really useful automation for recruiters and is normally an automation that works really well. So, how are we going to go about building this entire automation? Well, we're going to use Google Antigravity, which is going to be our IDE, and also we're going to use Gemini as one of our AI agents to go and build this entire automation, and we're going to use Claude Code as well. We're going to build this whole micro SaaS without writing a single line of code. So if you're watching this video, you probably know about these two tools over here. However, if you haven't heard of them, they are literally going to change your life. So watch along with this video, right? So who am I? My name is Yash, and I run my own AI automation agency. This agency is currently doing $20,000 per month, and I live everywhere, essentially. So I worked in Bali, I've worked in the Philippines, and I just travel around the world. And I get to explore the world because of my AI automation agency. It gives me the freedom to be wherever I want and to travel wherever I want. Right now, I'm on a really small island in Thailand, in Koh Tao, and I'm just about to do my scuba diving course literally this weekend. So I'm really looking forward to that. So what my goal is, so in this video, I'm going to show you how you can build an AI automation people actually pay for step by step, right? So I don't want to build anything that, is useless and it's just like kind of shiny object syndrome that I find is like drowning the AI space. I actually want to show you a like actionable way you can build things that, you can actually find clients that will let you pay for them, right? And also I'm going to use my Antigravity / Claude Code framework to create valuable automations like this one on repeat. So if this all sounds good to you, I also have a community. This community is for people that want to start their own AI automation agency. I literally give you the straightest line to your first client, how to build out all of these really cool automations that I'm showing you here. So if that's something you're interested in, take a look. But yeah, let's actually get into the building, right? So we have my step-by-step document over here. And what we want to do is we want to decide what exactly do we want to build. Well, we want to build a tool that can analyze CVs, right? So we've already got step 1 done. We've decided what we want to build. Now we've got to go to step 2, which is to define exactly what we're going to build. So we have this rough idea that's circulating my head, but I don't exactly know what I want to build. And I want to get a really good scope down. So when we go into building an anti-gravity, we're already prepared. So let's go to prompt 1. So I'm going to go to my lovely prompts tab over here. And I'm already on prompt 1, which is great. I'm going to copy this. And I've gone to Claude and I've just pasted in the prompt from our step-by-step guide. And it's asking me what automation idea I have in mind. So let's go ahead and do this, right? So I want to build an automation that will allow me to enter in CVs, like the applicants will enter these in. And then I want to also be able to enter in a job description and some requirements that I want for this job. And I then want to have a dashboard. This is the backend for the recruiter. And this is going to be a dashboard where we can actually see the CV. So it needs to have a little bit of a PDF viewer. And also we want to rank the CV based on the requirements using AI, and also include some benefits to the CV, like pulling out key information so we can scan the CV really easily. There we go. So this is the requirement. I've given it kind of what's in my head and what I think we need to go with. Let's click enter, and then it's going to slowly do this consultative process, and it's going to ask us a bunch of questions that I'm going to go ahead and answer, and that's how it's going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and answer these questions, and I'll be right back and I'll run through each question. Okay, so I managed to answer all the different questions over here. It asked me how do I want applicants to submit their CV. I think like a form is pretty good. So I just got them to do a form over here. I'm only allowing PDF for now. I'm trying to build a MVP, which is the minimal viable product. And of course, you can build on top of this as and when you want. You can also add a Word document or anything else you would like here. So that's super, super cool. And I'm only also allowing a single job at a time for now. What I can think of in my head is you could probably have a dashboard with multiple jobs running with multiple forms and multiple requirements. But right now I'm just doing one job, and then obviously you can expand the feature set as and when you want. Also, on the dashboard, I just want them to be able to add in the requirements for the job. So remember how I said it will match based on the requirements for the job? So I just want a box, and over there, I want to be able to paste in my job requirements. And then it will analyze that, essentially, the CVs against the job requirements that I've pasted into the front end. So that's kind of what I wanted over here. And it said, like, say I changed job requirements halfway through, which I'm not going to do, but say you did do that, what do you kind of want to happen? And I said, only new submissions get ranked with the updated criteria. I don't want all the old ones to get ranked based on my new job description. So that's why I chose that. And then it said to extract from the CV, what information would you like extract? I just got this stuff extracted over here. Just 1, 2, 3, 4 things. So I'll just pull it all out, which is cool. And then for the ranking, how would we like it displayed? I want a score out of 100 based on how close it is to our kind of AI system, right? And the dashboard, do we want an email system, blah, 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 again, MVP. So I just said a simple approve and reject. If we don't like how close they are, like for example, anyone under 30, you can just go and remove everything. And when a recruiter approves and rejects an applicant, should anything happen automatically? I said no, just the status change within the dashboard is fine. Then asked if I wanted to do any passwords or anything. For now, no. We have a step in our step-by-step guide to actually go and add a password in. So for now, I'm just saying we're building this out locally on our laptop, so we don't need a password because no one else can access it unless they're on our laptop, which I'm currently on. So that all works really, really well. And then it came out with a lovely project scope summary. Sweet. There's one more thing that I don't think it mentioned that I think I want to add, is I also want to add some filters so it can filter based on the score it gives us. I think this is very useful. So let's do this as well. There we go. So this will add it into the project scope as well. So that is super, super neat. Oh, it's asking some questions. Okay, for what kind of score? A minimum score slider showing CVs, a score range, preset bucket. I want preset buckets. Let's go with that. Sweet. That's cool. So we're going with preset buckets for the filter, which is cool. Oh, and it's asking me more. Any other fields? Status is also probably a pretty good one. It's fine. All the others. They don't need a filter. All right, cool. That's awesome. Perfect. Read through this. I think it looks good. Yes, that's all correct. And now it's going to regenerate the project scope. Sweet. And now we're going to go to step 3, which is prompt 2, to determine how we're going to build out this automation. So I'm going to go over here to prompt 2, and I'm going to copy all of this. And I'm going to start a new chat in Claude, and I'm going to paste in our prompt 2. Let me go ahead with that. And I know it's going to ask me for the project scope summary. So I'm going to go and copy the project scope summary. The reason I'm adding it into a new chat is to prevent context drift. So I want to make sure that the AI has its whole context window open, which means if I start in a new chat, all of these questions and stuff will not end up clogging up our lovely context, or my old prompt will not also end up clogging up the context in the AI. So let me go and paste this in over here. Here we go. We've got the project scope summary, which is what it's asking for here. I'm going to click enter and let this go through into our lovely Claude assistant over here. It's now going to do a bunch of research regarding all the different tools that we want to do and all the different kind of things we want to automate over here. And it's got all the features that we have extracted that we want involved in this automation. And now it's going to do this. With the database, it's going to use SQLite. This is interesting. So we normally have 2 databases we can choose from, Supabase or SQLite. SQLite has no memory, so it's not stored on the cloud. It just kind of keeps it. So when you log in again, all the stuff in the database is gone. So over here, when you log in and log out, SQL will not work. It has 0 setup, 0 running costs. Ships inside Docker. This is fine. Features 11 and 12 explicitly rule out Supabase. Let's see. No login and no retro. I don't know how I feel about this database selection. I need to ask a few more questions about this, because I think there needs to be some history in our database. So it needs to be able to store the applicant's information, because when I come back again, I might want to kind of have a relook at it, but I'm going to double check. So That's one thing I'm going to write over here on my to-do list. The processing steps, yeah, fine, whatever. This all is good. I'm going to trust you on the recommended tools because I'm not really too sure about many Python libraries, although I have been getting better at that since we've been vibe coding with Claude and Gemini. So I think Python Magic looks fine, whatever. That's for text extraction. This is a top pick for LLM bound text pipes. This is all cool over here. Recommendation, this one. Okay, that's cool. For the AI CV analysis, I think Anthropic Haiku 4.5 is going to be our best bet. So let me just double check this. All right, cool. And then we have structured output layer to be instructor. That's all perfectly fine. And then data persistence, storing applicants' data. There we go. SQL combine. Okay, so I just want to double check this. It's very confident that we can use SQL, so I just want to make sure that it will work, because last time I remember using SQL, it doesn't store any data. So I don't know, maybe it's done something cool for me. PDF file storage, this is all fine as well. We're not using Supabase out here, so that's fine. It's using local system plus file API with 0 dependencies, perfect for a Docker volume. That's all cool with us. And then inline viewer React PDF sounds good. Recruiter dashboard UI, we already have a front end tech stack, so that's good. No auth for now. Final recommended tech stack. So I have a few questions. So I want to use for the CV analysis and AI model, not GPT-4o. That's fine. And for database selection, will SQL be able to store the forms over like 1 month of submission? Right, because that's quite important. You might have the job open for a month and you want to make sure it stores everything in nicely. Otherwise, we'll just switch to Supabase. All right, let's go with this and let's see what happens. Okay, this sounds good. I know I wasn't too concerned about capacity, but will it have... there we go. It's clarified it for me. So we're going to use a file-based SQL-like database rather than an in-memory configuration. Okay, this is all cool. All right, sweet. I think I understand what it's doing now, so I'm just going to say, please create the tech stack again with all the update to Haiku model selection. All right, cool. So now it's going to come up with the full prompt. I think I fully understand what it's saying. It's saying like there is an in-memory like configuration that you can use with SQL-like. Again, I don't code and I don't have any technical background. I don't have a computer science degree or anything. So some of this stuff is new to me. But luckily, AI takes a lot of the thinking out of it, which is kind of why I use it a lot. I kind of lean on it, and it's super, super useful. In my agency, my co-founder is a software engineer. So she normally handles a lot of this technical stuff. For these videos, I think it's a lot more better if someone who's non-technical shows you how to do it rather than someone who's technical, because I'm not going to skip any steps. And I'm probably going to run into the same kind of like knowledge gaps as someone who isn't technical, like probably the person that's watching this video is. Therefore, I think it's super useful that, you can see the process of me going through it. So, you feel like you're not the only one that's kind of having to do that. So that's cool. While this is creating, we can have a look at the next step. So we're going to use prompt 3 to generate the backend instructions for anti-gravity. So let's go through over to here and let's go to prompt 3. This is going to be the backend for anti-gravity. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to open up a new chat in Claude and I'm going to paste it all in. Okay, so I pasted in the backend prompt. I'm also going to take a look at the project scope. Is it all done? Yes, we have the whole project scope all here, which is nice and cool. The actual tech stack, not the project scope. And then we have our scope over here. So let's go, we need the project scope and the tech stack. So let me go and copy this as the project scope. Here is the scope, boom, here, and then tech stack is pasted. And then I'm going to copy over our lovely tech stack from here. And I'm going to paste that into Claude as well. Boom. And then I'm going to click enter. And then this is going to use both of those things to go and create a backend prompt that we're going to use to paste into our Claude code within Antigravity. While this is happening, we can also do the next step, which is to add our agents.md file into our Antigravity page. And then we're going to go and build the backend. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to antigravity.google over here. And if you haven't already, you need to install Antigravity. So you're going to want to come over here and click download, or download for Mac OS or Windows, whatever you're on. Sweet. And this is what Antigravity will look like when you open it. What I want you to do is click on open folder. I'm going to go to my YT videos and I'm going to click new folder over here. And this one is going to be called CV Reviewal Tool, right? And let's click create. And now we have an empty folder. This is where our project's going to live. And we're going to click open, right? And once we click open over here, For some reason, it's already authenticated. Sweet. And we have the CV reveal tool over here. Here's where our agent lives. This is where the files are. And this is the folder that we just saw, right? And one of the main things you have to do is go over to extensions right here. And I want you to type in Claude. And once eventually it loads, you'll see over here, we're going to have Claude code for VS Code. And I want you to install this application right here. Mine's already installed. It's actually updating right now, which is super, super neat. And this is going to allow you to use Claude code within Antigravity, right? So when I click this, boom, we have Claude code right over here. So I'm going to close this window. So we have a bit bigger of a Claude code page. And over here we have our folder, and this is Claude code, and then this is Antigravity agent over here. With Antigravity, you can pick out all the different Gemini models, and you even have a bit of Claude over here, which I kind of run out of credits for now. And then obviously you have all the different Claude models within Claude code. Just to be super clear, the plans I run on, I pay $20 a month for the Claude code over here. There's more, like you can pay $100 and $200 as well. I kind of haven't run out of credits yet on the $20 plan, so I'm kind of going with that. And then I also pay, I think, $20 or something like that, or maybe the bigger plan, I can't remember, for Antigravity over here. And this allows me to use the Gemini models and then a little bit of the Claude models down here, which I don't really use, to be honest. I just use Antigravity for Gemini because I prefer Claude for backend and Gemini for frontend. So I can kind of switch between the both depending on what I want to do. And that's $40 worth of vibe coding tools, and I just get so much use and loads of stuff with it. This is purely for content making, then I have more accounts for our agency and building stuff like that as well. But I like to keep it a little bit separate so I can see the usage for both. Okay, so that's enough of me yapping. What's the next step? So we want to click new file over here, and we're going to call it agents.md, right? And this is kind of be like the Bible for our agent. It's going to follow this kind of text, and it's going to use it for the large portion of this project. So this makes sure it keeps it on track, it uses the right tech stack, and it builds in the right way, it tests where it's supposed to, etc. So we're going to go over to our Chrome tab, which is this way, and we're going to go to step by step, and we're going to go to agents.md. I'm going to copy the whole of agents.md. I'm going to paste it in, and I'm going to press Command S. This means I've saved the agents.md tab right here, and it has all the different instructions we need. So I'm going to close this off now, and I'm going to go to Claude code right here. And over here, go get the backend prompt now. So let's flick back to our Chrome tab. Let's pull open our backend prompt. All API contracts verified. Now I have everything to generate the spec, so it has everything that we need. And I'm going to copy this entire backend prompt, and I'm going to paste it in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Claude and click plan mode. This way it's going to create a plan for how we're going to build this thing out, right? Because it's quite a big project to do in one shot. So it needs to come up with a bunch of different ideas on how it's going to do it. And then I'll go ahead and do it. And I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to click read agents.md first. And then it's going to go through everything else. And I'm going to click go. And this is going to go and essentially plan out our backend for us. Now, while it's doing a full plan of the backend and thinking and doing all the AI stuff in the background, we can move on to the next step, which is to go to our steps over here. And we've got the backend, and then we're going to use prompt 4a and prompt 4b to generate some front-end instructions. So we're going to go over here to prompts. We're going to go to prompt 4a, and I'm going to copy this. So I've opened up a new chat again to conserve some kind of context and memory, especially for the front-end prompts, because they're going to use a lot of context and memory. And I'm going to paste this over here into our lovely Claude. I'm also going to check up on Antigravity. Okay, so it's currently still writing out the plan over here. So I've got the prompt pasted in for the front end over here. It wants the project scope summary and the tool stack recommendation. So let me go to the scoping page and copy this. And let me paste this into our text box over here, and then also say tech stack is pasted. And then I'm also going to go and copy out the tech stack, which was over here, I think. And I'm going to paste the tech stack into this over here. I'm also thinking, should I paste the backend prompt in? I don't think we need it. All right, let's go for it. And then we click enter in Sonnet 4.6. And this is all the different information it needs. And now, again, it's going to go through a consultative process into the questions for our UI and how we're going to build all of this stuff. And while I was doing that, our lovely Claude has come out with a plan on how exactly it's going to build out this entire project. I'm going to be honest, I don't understand a lot of this. So I'm just going to click yes and auto accept and just see what it does. I'm hoping it will just kind of do it really, really well and really nicely. It has a lot of kind of calls. I think these are endpoints, which is pretty crazy actually. So let's just hope it kind of does it all correctly. Yes and auto accept. And let it go and do its thing on building the backend. I'm also going to go through the questions here for the front end, and then I will go through each one step by step just to show you exactly how I answered these questions. Okay, so the back end is done creating and it wants to run some tests, and for that it needs my Anthropic API key. And where it's going to go and grab my Anthropic API key from is it's going to be over here, right? So we have the .env file, and I just need to paste my API key for Claude right over here. And then this will allow me to essentially use Claude within our automation. It will just bill me directly to my API billing. So let me go and grab that. And if you don't know how to grab your Anthropic API key, type into Google Anthropic API and then just follow the instructions and you'll be able to create a secret key. There are also a bunch of videos online that show you how to do that. That's if you're like super new to creating automation stuff, you should definitely look into that because that's one of the most vital things is the API keys to build out these automations. Okay, so I went and added my Anthropic API key into the .env file. I'm not going to show you that because obviously I don't want you to use my API key and bill me for all your Claude credits. And now what I want to do is I want to go and say, yeah, you can go ahead and test. I've added in my key. Sweet, and I'm going to click enter, and then this is going to go ahead and test everything that we need to go and do. In the meantime, I have also gone through step by step and went through that consultative process for the front end. So let me go ahead and show you that. So here we go. This is when I asked my first question. It said like, how should the public form and recruiter dashboard like relate to each other? And I said the application should not be able to see the recruiter tool. So they would be separate, right? So we want 2 pages. Obviously, we don't want the applicants to see what the recruiter is doing on the back end. So that's why I asked it to do that. Then it asked me for the primary layout. And I said, I want to see like the applicant's score and other details. But when I click on the applicant, I want to be able to see the full PDF version of their CV and all the data we've extracted. So you can see more about the applicant within a quick glance. And then also where to add the job description. Remember I said that's what it's going to compare the new CVs to the job description? I just want it in a separate settings or job tab page. That's cool. Then it said in the applicant's table, which column should be visible at a glance. And I just want the name, AI score, status, and also the badge, and also the submission time, and also their email. Those are all the ones I want available. So in the dashboard, it just shows each one of them. And when you click on an applicant row, what should the detail view feel like? A centered modal dialog is what I want it to look like with a scrollable and about 80% of the normal page is fine. And then inside the applicant detail view, how should the PDF be viewed? So I wanted the PDF to be on the left and then all the action buttons on the right. That makes it super cool so you can scroll through the PDF on the left and then look at everything on the right and all the different details and maybe approve and reject them when you look through the CV itself. I've also made this like tool, like a human in the loop kind of tool. A lot of recruiters normally are not super keen on letting AI decide everything 100%. They find it unethical. So therefore I have tried to make sure it includes a human as much as it can. I don't know how long that's going to last for, in my opinion, based on how long actual recruiters are going to be looking through every single CV, given that people are going to be applying to jobs using AI and then the AI is going to review the CVs. It's a bit of a weird mix of how that's all going to work out, but a story for another time. And then we said, how should the AI score be visually displayed? And then we should have the score-based coloring. So basically, if it's 71 to 100, it'll be green. If it's red, 0 to 40, and amber 41 to 70. That's all cool. How should the status badge look? So it should kind of look like this: approved, rejected, and pending. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly flick to Antigravity. Click yes. I knew we'd probably be hooked up on something. So that's fine. When the recruiter clicks approve or reject in the detail module, what should it go? It should give a toast notification. So a little bit of feedback over there. And then it also asked me, like, in the form, if someone doesn't fill in a field, such as their name, what should it look like? I just want a red highlight around that page to say, like, hey, you haven't filled in your name. You kind of need to do that. And then also after a successful what should it show, I just wanted to say that your CV has been submitted to the job. So they have a little bit of idea of like, yeah, cool, it's been submitted. That's sweet. And also, how should the score bucket and status filters look on the dashboard? I wanted there to be drop down select, which is cool. And then when the dashboard table is loaded, what do I want people to see? So I want there to be like a skeleton row with like kind of mystical like shimmering where it'll actually go in and add the information once it all gets processed by Haiku. And also if there's nothing there, what do we want it to look like? Well, I want there to be an illustration, say no applicants yet, you need to share your form, and then there'll actually be applicants being feeded in. And the overall visual tone, I want like a clean and professional tone. Kind of like Notion or linear. That is super, super cool. They had another option for like friendly, like kind of like Airtable, and a dark like theme like Railway, if you've ever used the deployment service Railway. I like the way Notion and linear fit this specific. And then it asked me to confirm that it's got all the different things we've discussed. I said that's all super, super cool. And I went and said, write a full spec. And bada bing, bada boom, we have a full spec over here in this markdown file, which is quite a cool way to write it. And here we go. This is all done. I should flick back to Antigravity and keep clicking yes. So I'm going to go and let it run the tests for our APIs right now. It's tested Haiku and it's all working lovely. So now it's going to test all our different endpoints to make sure everything works. So then when we go to test it manually after it's all built, I don't waste a lot of time going back and forth saying, hey, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. It just kind of figures it out on its own, which we much prefer. So I'm going to wait for this to all finish up and then I'll catch you when I'm back. Okay, so it went and built out the entire backend and it tested the whole thing for me as well. There is just a few things that I wanted to show you guys. So if you are going to test this yourself. So the first thing you need to do is if you want to start the server, it will normally give you a command to go and start the server. You want to come up here to terminal and click new terminal and it'll open up this thing over here. This is essentially the terminal, right? And you can enter in different commands to turn on different servers and stuff. It is a little bit complicated for someone who doesn't know how to code or tech stuff, but I promise you it's not that complicated. Normally you can just have AI walk you through everything. So it already gave me the command. So if I can go over here and I click enter, and there we go, it says address is already in use, which suggests to me that it's left the server on. So I'm going to tell it to please kill any server. I am getting this one over here. So then Claude Code will go and kill any server that it has in the background, and then we can start it up in our terminal over here. So I'm going to click go with this. In addition to this, what I've done is I've also asked it to send me the Swagger docs. What the Swagger docs means is you can actively go and test your application using this really easy interface over having to force yourself to use terminal commands, right? So if I go over here and I go to try it out, right, I can try out any of these different endpoints with application IDs. I can submit an applicant myself. So I click try it out. I can go and submit an application, add a CV in here, etc., etc. You can do the whole thing, right? End-to-end testing using the Swagger doc right here. Okay, so the server got killed like I showed you before. So if I go over here and I copy this thing to start the server again and I click paste, boom, you'll see the server was application startup complete. And now the backend for this whole thing is all started up. And now you can run all the tests using the Swagger documents I showed you. So you can add your own applicant in, you can check the applicant ID, you can check the status, you can go and grab a job description, or you can add a job description in and you can test the whole application end to end using these documentations over here. So that is the backend all complete. The next thing we want to go through, and let's go through our step-by-step document, that will give us a good idea. So build backend is done. We've generated half of the front-end instructions. We now need to use prompt 4b to generate our last front-end instruction. So I'm going to copy prompt 4b. And I'm going to go to the page with our front-end design specification on Claude, and I'm just going to paste in this entire prompt. And I'm going to click enter, right? And this is then going to give us a prompt to go and give to Antigravity, which is then going to go and build out our entire front end. So over here, it's done a quick check of all the features that we mentioned right at the start. This is just to make sure it doesn't forget anything I mentioned at the start of this video. So it includes and implements absolutely everything. And here we go. We have the full front end prompt done in a lovely markdown format. And this is going to build out our entire front end in Antigravity. So I'm going to click copy here, and I'm going to flick to Antigravity over here, and I'm going to click paste, and I'm going to have the full front end prompt over here. I also want to make sure it checks the backend. So also read all backend files, sweet. And I'm going to click go, and then this is going to essentially build out our full front end for our project. So I'm going to click send over here, and I'm going to go let it do its thing. Okay, so it went and built the front end. Gemini wasn't working for me for some reason, so I used Claude Code instead. It's the same thing, just different models. I think Gemini builds much nicer front ends, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. But essentially, the front end was all built. It didn't give me like a clear example of like the fact that it's 2 pages. One should be a form, and one should be the back end kind of thing. So essentially, I wanted to make sure like how do these 2-page things work, and it said there's a /dashboard page and then just the normal page. I said give me the links to both. And here are the 2 links. And I actually went and opened up both, and here we are, they're both here. This is obviously where you apply for the role. And then this is what the backend dashboard looks like. It has this tab over here, and then it has the applicants where you can add them in. And then obviously if you're going to submit a CV, you submit it through here, which is cool, right? And it gave me both of those. They had some data in the actual table that I didn't want. I wanted it to delete all the data. So I went and got it to delete all the data, and I went and did that, and here we are. So this is exactly where we are right now. So that's all I did with Claude. I just gave it that prompt. It built everything. I then double checked to make sure all the data was cleared out. So now I can run a test using the front end and back end and make sure everything works properly. And we're going to do that together, right? What I have is I have a job description over here. So I'm going to go and paste my job description in. So here we go. This is our lovely job description. It has everything that you kind of need over here. It kind of looks like a real job description, a nice high paid one as well. So that's cool. And I'm going to click save job description over here. The job description has been saved. Sweet. Now, obviously we have no applicants, so I need to put them in. So I'm going to go through and add in some applicants. I have a bunch of dummy CVs. All my dummy CVs are over here. So I'm going to enter each one in individually, and we're going to see what it looks like on the back end. So let me run through one, and then I'll obviously do the rest myself. So I'm going to enter one for Priya. So this one over here, and the full name is Priya. And then I'm going to put Priya at example.com. Sweet. And I'm just going to copy this because I'm going to need that a few times. And I'm going to click submit application. Oh, of course, something went wrong. So we probably need to ask why something went wrong with the front end and decide why the application is not going through. So let me go back to Claude over here. And this is why we test everything. I'm going to say when trying to submit new application. And hopefully this will then go and fix that error for us. Okay, so it fixed something. It said try submitting again. It should go through now. I'm going to click submitting application. This looks more promising this time. Application submitted with a super nice kind of front end here. Oh, nice. It came through really quickly. The score is pretty high, and then submitted. And then if I click view, oh, nice. We have our CV over here where we can switch to the two different pages. It grabbed the education and then the experience. It grabbed all the skills. Nice. So everything works. I'm going to go submit 5 just to make sure it all works. And if I spot any bugs, I'll drop right back in. Okay, I'm submitting the last one, which is Aisha. I think there should be 5 being submitted right now. And if I pop over to our front end, we can see we have some applicants, and you can see some of them are more equipped to what we need to do and some of them are not. So let's click view over here, and we can see experience is 3 years and some Scrum Masters, etc., etc. However, our job description, I think, required 5 years. So let me go what we're looking for, 5+ years. And obviously, Aisha only has 3 years. Tom has, let's go over here, Tom has 12 years experience, has an MBA, which is what we're looking for, and has a bunch of different information as well, which is really, really interesting. Cool. And you can see over here, it works really, really nicely. You can view all the different CVs, and all the different CVs are in different formats, and it extracted all the data really, really nicely. And it did everything. I'm going to try the approve and reject metric. So let's say we go and reject Chloe Tan, applicant marked as reject, and as we can see, it's marked as reject over here. Now, what I was going to explain to you is, like, for example, this sidebar would have been built so much nicer by Gemini, but unfortunately, Claude just sometimes misses the mark on that. And this looks cool over here, and then I can click reject on Tom as well. Let's go to Priya and click approve. Nice. And we can filter by statuses. So obviously Priya is the only one we approve. These two are both in pending, and then we have rejected over here. Sweet, everything's built really nicely. And then we can also go by score. So let's click all statuses, and we have one score in mid, which is obviously Aisha, and then quite a few scores in high. Now, you can adjust the prompt in the back end. For example, if you want it to be more like strict on the criteria or less strict on the criteria, you can obviously go and change that. And if you want to take it one step further, you can also have like a slider for strictness over here on the job description page, and that will be really, really cool. You can also add like a delete button if you want, which is another extension to this project that you can also do. But yeah, that is pretty much how you can build a full-on application for like a recruiting system, like where it auto extracts CVs and it puts them into this amazing, beautiful front end. Now, there are a few more things that I could go through right now, but I'm actually going to make another video right after this one, where I'm going to show you how we secure the automation by using a basic authentication prompt. So obviously we're going to leave this page, which is the actual form, open so anyone can use it, but then we're also going to secure this page so no one else can access it, and only you can see everything basically as the recruiter. not as anyone else. So I'm going to show you how you can put a password and a lock on this so everything is super secure. And I'm also going to show you how you can deploy this entire automation to the web so you can deliver this to clients, right? That's one of the most important things when you're going to do it. I'm going to make a whole separate video. It's going to be titled like how to deploy your Claude Code anti-gravity project, something like that, and it will show up directly here. And that's exactly how we're going to go about doing it. So if you're interested in that, just drop over to my channel. If it's not out now, it'll be out in the next couple of days. Since you've been watching this, it'll be super useful. I'm deploying this very automation that we just built. But that is how you can build something like this end to end using my step-by-step framework. And you can build out amazing automations like this one super quickly, right? And super efficiently. And that's kind of the whole point of this. And you can sell this to someone. There are people that are doing this manually right now as we're speaking that would find this tool super, super useful. So if you found this video in any way useful and informative, it means so much to me if you could interact with it, whether that be a follow, subscribe, or a like, or even a comment if you have any questions. I monitor those all the time and I'll answer any questions that you have. If you're interested in starting your own AI automation agency, there's a link in the description for my own community. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.